All right, everybody. Welcome in and welcome back. Season 4, episode 10, aka our 123rd show. Andy, we have a good one today. I'm really interested
Mhm.
about United, especially after looking at the table from the results this past week. And
Yeah.
I'm excited to break it down with you.
Mhm.
Barcelona is man, it's a squad.
Hey, it's coming. Yeah. I mean, if it's a squad, it's got to be coming together, right? Like, I'm guessing you guys bounce back from Real Madrid. Is that the? Please tell me that's the case that you guys bounce
Uh,
back.
in a way, yes.
Oh,
Result
okay.
wise, yes. But yeah, it was just oh man. It's just rough watching sports. I mean, between watching our Spartans, the Lions and the hodgepodge of their offensive line and their secondary trying to cobble something together and can't beat the Minnesota Vikings, like yeah, it's just
Mhm.
sometimes it's tough to watch sports when you know your team is better, but injuries just make it look so much worse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When you know you're kind of down to your when you're down to your threadbare elements, and that's the team that has to go and get results, it can feel unfair at sometimes. At
Yeah.
least that's again the feeling. But
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
so how did Barcelona manage with their threadbare squad?
Sure. So we did get a win. It was a 3-1
Hey.
halfway convincing win. We looked a lot better in the first half. Did give up a goal right before the end of the first half. But Barcelona looked convincing. Fermin Lopez had a pair of assists. Rashi had a really nice goal where he broke a defender down, took him kind of the byline, and just smashed a weak-footed shot right over the goalkeeper, off the
Mhm.
bottom of the crossbar and in. I mean, he's honestly been our most consistent player. I think Fermin's been our best player as of recently, last 3-4 games.
Mhm.
But um, but yeah, I mean, it like I said, halfway
Yeah.
convincing. So um,
Yeah, for you, what was that convincing part and what was that non-convincing part?
I think the convincing part was for who we had in there. I think we played well.
Mhm.
For we just didn't look like we handled the game. I mean, possession we didn't dominate. Elche had their chances.
Mhm.
It was one of those games where it was like a couple of bounces here and there could have seen us with a draw or a loss. I mean,
Yeah.
we did end up getting a third goal kind of later, which was nice to kind of put the icing on the cake. But
Mhm.
it was just like it was fine. It started off well. We giving up that goal right before halftime was kind of uh, a little frustrating, kind of killed some of our momentum. And then LJ
Mhm.
started well in the second half, but eventually our talent, our fitness, I think, was better
Okay.
between the two teams. But yeah, I mean, you know it was fine. It was good enough to stay within touching distance of Real Madrid. That's all we could ask for. So
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
the bad Andy, the really
Okay.
bad is Pedri. After El Clasico, he's hurt. He has a minor
No.
tear in his hamstring. He's going to be out until probably towards the end of November.
No, that's
And
not good.
Rafinha re-aggravated his hamstring, so he's going to be out till about the same time. And then Joan Garcia also kind of took a step back in his progress, so we're also looking at like middle to end of November for him. The nice thing is we did get Danny Olmo and Lewandowski back for this game. Um,
Okay.
and Lamine Yamal was not hurt per se, but we got him back because he broke up with his girlfriend and he's focusing on football again.
Whoa. Okay.
It's
That's
fantastic.
yeah.
And he scored.
It's yeah.
And he scored in this game.
Whoa. Okay. Sometimes it's like you never know what that is because that there used to be something said with that. I think with Rashford when he was dating his girlfriend or moved in, like there was on and off kind of thing a relationship, and that kind of hurt both. I guess obviously it hurt both of them from a relationship standpoint, but it was definitely weighing in on how Rashford was performing. So sometimes just a different change what's happening personally. you know I think it just goes to show that like players are still humans too, and when they have things going on well in their personal life, that is going to reflect in their career for it, and vice versa sometimes. So, well, I'm glad that it's a readjustment for Yamal that's getting the best out of him for Barcelona. So
Yeah.
that should at least get him back and focused.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So, we'll kind of have to see how things go in these upcoming weeks. But I was telling Z earlier, it's like if we're going to have injuries, like I'd rather have injuries in October, November. Like I do not want to have
Mm-hmm.
injuries in March, April, May.
Yeah, not
It's
the
a
crucial time.
no, I mean, again, Barcelona last year was in a similar situation, had dropped points early in the Champions League, had kind of faltered some of their early lead in La Liga, and
Mm.
we're able to get to the domestic treble in, the semis of the Champions League. It's like we were in
Yeah,
this position last year. We had a
yeah,
dip in form. We had Lewandowski's calling the team out saying we got to up our level. Hansi Flick the same thing. It
hmm
was a really similar trajectory, and I see it here too. So I'm not overly concerned. I'm not happy, but I'm not. I
hmm
I shouldn't say I'm not joyous. I'm not jumping for joy.
yeah,
I'm not overly concerned though. It's one of those things where we just kind of have to stick to the process. We're in the grind part of the season.
yeah.
Some of the early season butterflies are out of the way. Teams are kind of finding out who they are, what their identity is, and we
hmm
just we gotta, like Lewandowski said, he said it best. We just gotta up our level, and I think we
Yeah.
can. So
I think you guys can now with Olmo and Lewandowski back, at least to kind of just add a little bit of reinforcements into
hmm and
into
maturity,
the attack. Yeah,
experience,
just a little bit of
maturity.
maturity. Yeah, because honestly, even if it's the style changes a little bit, you got to do with what you can. You got to do the best with what you've got, and if you have to change up a little bit of your style for that, that's what makes a great team. Is to
Yeah,
win over the season, you need to be able to make those adjustments and still still get results. So
yeah,
I think
yeah,
that might be. I wonder if that's going to be Hansi's kind of thought is, hey, maybe he takes off what he would totally do with a complete team that he has or that he would have had, and he tries to make some magic with the current crop. So,
yeah,
but all that
yeah,
being said, I'm just glad that it's not. There's no setback back from El Clasico, and that this is like a downward spiral from it.
yeah. That would have been not great at
Yeah,
all. But
yeah.
yeah, again, offensively looked pretty good. Defensively, we looked kind of possession. We looked kind of but it was good enough to get the win and move on to next
Mhm.
week. On to next week.
Yeah. Yep. Moving on to next week. It's just survive in advance at this point
Yep,
till we get to Christmas, and then
yep.
let's see what happens from there. So
Speaking of
yeah,
surviving and advancing, Andy, are we one game closer to that gentleman getting his long-awaited haircut?
nope. It's done. It's
Oh
got to restart now
no!
because because we tied with Forest. It
Oof,
was a
rough.
2-2 draw at Forest. Kind of a weird game, but I guess I'll preface by saying that Tottenham Forest, Nottingham Forest's new manager is Sean Dyche, and Sean
Ah,
Dyche has a particular way of playing, and like I don't want to say it because like that means he's like an outdated coach or anything. Far from it.
hmm
He is a coach that he will get you results, and so perfect for what Nottingham Forest need, and he just made it a battle, and I think we held our own in the battle, but I think we struggled to dominate, and we didn't dominate the game. But what I would say is we didn't crumble into the game we didn't crumble when it was put to us. So I'm trying to think of the positives. That's what I would say. Opening goal came for United like just before halftime. Lots of controversy because it came from a corner where the ball, or it came from a corner where the ball was deemed to have gone past the goal line
mm,
when there was video showing that it didn't. And I think
mm,
other United fans are saying like, "Oh, it's like dicey." I think it is on the line, and so there's a lot of stick because in the ensuing corner, the team wasn't ready to take that corner, or Forrest wasn't ready, and we were, and so we ended up taking advantage of that and getting the go-ahead goal uh, from Casemiro. Boy, is he really big on set plays for us.
hmm
He's that difference maker, I think, in that. Um, then coming out of halftime, we really just dropped our level for 10 minutes,
Mm.
where they were able to get 2 quick goals from from crosses from our left side into the far post, and that was enough for them to get up by 2. And it looked like we were going to kind of struggle to at least try to get a result. But thankfully, from another corner, when a ball that gets recycled out, we got to see Ahmad's incredible skill where he um, volleyed a ricocheted ball that was coming out near the top of the. I always want to call it the top of the key, like in basketball, but that's not the case. At the edge of the penalty box, and slots it in over defenders, almost like kind of like a free kick with the amount of like defenders that were there
Hmm.
to clear it up. So walk away with a point. It's not. I don't think it's not great, obviously, but I don't think it's bad given the grander context of what this team is currently. Because last year we had never even gotten goals. I think we would have lost 2 or 3-0 because of the physicality. But here, I think we showed that physicality. I think we just show of like you can't dip your levels. You can't lose your concentration at any point in time because there's enough talent, there's enough physicality in teams now that they will punish you and they'll find a way
Yeah.
to punish you for that. So
Yeah. I mean,
that's
and
yeah.
plus what you were saying earlier too is it's a little bit of a different or newer, refreshed Nottingham Forest side, right? With the
Yeah.
newer manager of
Oh,
Dyche in
sure.
there. And
Sure.
I think that definitely affects it because if you just look at blindly where the two teams are on the table, you would say, "Oh, a tie is not a good result." But kind of
Mhm.
what you were saying is, this is a different squad. It's a renewed squad.
Yeah, it's renewed in a way, and they'll make it difficult for us, and we're not a United isn't a finished product. And it's kind of funny because I've heard people saying that our midfield had a great game, and it did, I think, statistically, but I think we still struggled to like impose ourselves, and that's kind of where
Hmm.
we're at, where we're not we're not going to get beaten up, but we're not necessarily going to overwhelm and dominate teams. And I don't think we're at that spot yet, given our personnel again. So again, it's like
Yeah,
our bench from that. So all that to say, vibes are mostly positive. I think it really just comes down to what do we do against Tottenham because
sure.
that'll determine it. Because then it'll mean we've been like, oh, what's it like when you kind of get a series of successive draws and then you lose? It's a lot different of like, oh, you haven't lost in that many time, and then you lose, and you're like, well, you're winless in 4 or whatever. So
Right, right.
it'll be different if we get a draw than a win, or a draw and a loss, because that will not look pretty. So
Yeah.
waiting for that on Sunday early at a 6:30 a.m. Central kickoff, which I will
Whew,
definitely be waking up for
whew.
that.
I would be
Hey,
recording that thing and sleeping.
nah, because then when it's over, then you still have the rest of your day left. You can see all the football that you want. You can see everything else. So
True.
that's just how a weird morning person like me operates.
Ugh,
But
good for
that's
you.
how
I
it
can't do
goes.
it.
Hey, not everyone's blessed with these skills, Paul.
Yeah,
So,
no, I
haha.
can I can stay up till 3 a.m. Well, not really anymore, but waking
Yeah,
up for that early of a game, oof, no thanks.
yeah, yeah. That's a superpower, staying up to 3 as we're in the daylight savings time
Yeah.
and having that implemented. So,
Are you
ooh,
uh
what the
you,
joys!
you gonna have beans on toast for that game?
Oh, I probably should. Yeah. Honestly, people talk about how weird that is. It's not. It actually is pretty good. It just depends on the kind of beans. You get Bush's
Yes.
beans? No. You got to get Heinz's beans. That's
Right.
that's the
Right.
beans you need.
Yeah.
Anyway, checking with the league vibe check we have in the Bundesliga. I think a little bit of an update. I think just kind of really showing where the league is at now, with Bayern beating Bayer pretty handily, a 3-0, you could say thumping handling of Bayern over Bayern or Bayer Leverkusen,
Yeah.
which was obviously last year or last 2 years ago, right? That they
2 years
won
ago.
the
2 years ago.
yeah
Yep.
when they won 2 years ago. Seeing how far they've kind of have fallen. in
Hmm.
the past 2 years. It looks like it's a rough one there.
Yeah, I mean, I think my biggest takeaway from this, Andy, is Bayern's goal differential. I mean, it is
Mhm.
absolutely unreal. They have 33 goals for, only 4 goals against. You know, a goal differential of 29 with 27 points on the season is still perfect. I
Yeah,
mean, you can't hand them the trophy yet, but they got a firm grasp on it so far in the
they
season.
they certainly do, especially with the latest game of Stuttgart versus Leipzig, which was a top four matchup early on in the season,
Hmm.
and Stuttgart stumble over Leipzig 3-1, or sorry, Leipzig 3, Stuttgart 1. So what that looks like in the table then is Bayern Munich still have their lead in 27 points. RB Leipzig have 22. Dortmund got a victory this past weekend, so that jumps them to third with 20. And Stuttgart still in the top four, but hanging on with 18 points. So that's what we got over in Germany. Paul, what's happening in La Liga?
Sure. So Real Madrid continue their winning ways. They vexed Valencia 4-0. Villarreal roasted Rayo 4-0. Atletico Madrid ended up sacking Sevilla 3-0. So kind of same old at the top of the table. Real Madrid with 30 points, Barcelona 25, Villarreal 23, Atletico Madrid 22. So Atletico Madrid, or sorry, Real Madrid still up at the top, but you know it's still hotly contested. If they stumble
Mm-hmm.
at all, it's going to get real tight up at the top. So teams 2 through 4 between Barca, Villarreal, and Atletico Madrid are keeping it close.
Wow. Yeah. Do you think it sounds like Atletico Madrid are finally getting their act together? They got three easy.
Hmm.
Seemed like a pretty simple 3-0 win. Does it look like, or do you feel like that's what's happening with them?
I think in the league they've settled themselves. I think they need to prove it in the Champions League as well because I think they've been stumbling in the European competitions here, but definitely better than they were at the beginning of the year. That's for darn sure.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to warm up, but it might not be. Maybe it might be too little, too late. We'll see how that turns out there. Heading over into Italy, Paul. Honestly, this is turning out to be quite an interesting league this year as well, where Napoli end up drawing with Como. Honestly, I think it was a 0-0 draw where
Oh,
weren't able to,
boring.
yeah, weren't able to get any sort of goals going. But in the meantime, Inter won their match, and Milan was facing Roma in a top four matchup. And what happened? Milan eked out a victory, 1-0 victory over Roma, which now means Napoli
Phew.
have 22 points. And then the next three teams are tied for second with 21. And those are Inter, AC Milan, and Roma.
Yeah,
So
hotly
let's,
contested.
yeah, I'm pulling for Roma to get that number two or even taken, geez, if they even took the Scudetto, wouldn't wouldn't be opposed to that.
Yeah.
Heading over into Serie C, Cosenza 1-1 draw with Team Altamura. Two late goals, one from Cosenza, the other with Team Altamura, puts Cosenza in fifth place in Grupo C. So a little bit of a maybe coming down to earth moment for Cosenza, having just about thought they had done it, but not able to get over
Mm.
the finish line. So, seeing what they can do to hopefully propel themselves to get into that automatic qualifier and win their group, but still waiting on that. Paul, heading over into the Premier League, we had City and Liverpool. They got their needed wins. City got their 3-1 win over Bournemouth, and Liverpool right their ways at Anfield with a victory over Aston Villa. However, Tottenham not doing so hot, where
Mm.
they fall to their crosstown rival in Chelsea, which I don't know if it's not, it's definitely a rivalry, but I guess that's right way in of places where like in London where they have multiple teams throughout it.
Hmm.
Are these rivalries, or is it something else? What do you make of that?
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of hard to say, right? It's the same thing kind of with Madrid, where obviously Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid is a rivalry, but Rayo Vallecano versus both of those teams, are those actually rivalries? Like Rayo Vallecano is this really kind of smaller suburb, or not suburb, but smaller section of Madrid, where yeah, they're a Madrid team, but do you consider it a rivalry? It's a crosstown match, but is it rivalry?
Hmm.
You know. I think
Yeah.
too, rivalries mean more when both the teams, or at least one of the teams, are playing for something, which
Yeah.
is, why this year it's a little bit more exciting because both teams are in the top 10. Both teams are, within 2 points of being in second place in the league. So that makes it a
Hmm.
little bit more fun. But yeah, interesting to see Tottenham, who was kind of riding a hot streak earlier in the season, and as well as Aston Villa. They had won four in a row, and they ended up dropping their last match as well. So interesting to see how the Premier League, almost like Serie A, has kind of just been this roller coaster of
Hmm.
different teams and results.
Yeah. Yeah, it has. And I don't know if it's setting us up for when December hits, where we have 6 games in a month,
Oh
where all of
gosh,
a sudden, yeah, right. Usually, again, we have that whole conversation of other leagues. They tone it down for Christmas. What does the Premier League do? They amp up the games.
yep, yep,
So I guess we'll have to see, and we'll have to see too, especially with Arsenal, where it seems like Arsenal are in the ascendancy, and they don't look like right now that they're going to be giving up any points anytime soon. So what that means in the league table is that Arsenal have 25, City have 19, Liverpool have 18, and Sunderland, they got their tie with Everton today, so they are still in the top four with 18
yeah.
points. And
I think
Paul, as you have a note I noticed on the note, so I'm gonna have you go and speak to that.
yeah, I think again, just kind of talking about the dichotomy, or the parity, I guess is a better term for it,
Oh yeah,
of
yeah.
yeah, of the Premier League this year. Arsenal aside, because obviously they're in first place by 6 points, but you've got Manchester United on 17 points. They're 2 points away from being in second place. A
Hmm.
different result against Nottingham Forest, and they're in second place,
Yeah.
right? It's one of those things where this league this year seems like almost anybody can make top four at minimum, and Arsenal
Hmm.
slips up and anybody can win the league this year, right? It's kind of
Yeah.
Serie A kind of has that same sort of feeling as well. It's just
Hmm.
really weird. I feel like a lot of the professional leagues, the NFL included, where a lot of teams who are traditionally maybe not very good, or haven't historically been very good in recent years, where there are all these teams that could make a run, could win it, could make a statement, make top four, that sort of thing. So really,
Yeah.
really interesting to see here. I mean, the same thing in La Liga. I mean, Villarreal hasn't been in the top four consistently, and I don't even know how many years at this point.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot of parity, I think, in the leagues this year, and it's exciting to see. But I mean, hey, United could, with a win this upcoming week, could be top six, top five.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
exciting, and
It's yeah.
I
It's potential. Yeah.
what I like seeing, I love it when the media and trolls, or the team on the internet, are just bashing, wanting the coaches to be fired, wanting all this change because they think they know what's best when they know nothing. And then the
Hmm.
team starts doing well and they have to eat crow,
Yeah.
and you're seeing your team succeed and being within shouting distance of top four and top European football for the first time in a few years. It's
Yeah.
exciting. It really is.
Yeah. It definitely feels that excitement there. And again, like we had mentioned, a lot of the noise that's around in the media, that's been silenced for a bit.
Yeah.
So again, because of the size of our clubs, it's always going to drum up any sort of attention. Like even a draw is definitely bringing attention. A loss would have very much brought attention, and a loss at Tottenham. If we lose at Tottenham this weekend, that's going to bring attention and saying, "Oh,
Yep.
is this a false dawn, or anything of the like." So I think we have that, and I guess to your point too, I wonder now with how much shuffling around of the talent there's kind of been with the amount of money in the Premier League. If this is like kind of the result of it, where
Sure.
again, like teams like 2 through 10, like are any like teams 2 through 10 honestly could be in top four any given time.
Hmm.
But then there's always a next level team. And is Arsenal that next level team? Uh, I think it still remains to be seen because they've
For
been in
sure.
these positions before and have given them up. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I I don't necessarily know, but it makes it exciting. So we'll still
For sure.
see, still have much football to watch and see how it's developed. But yeah, all to your point, I think we are seeing teams starting to come to their own, and I think these are some crucial months and crucial matches to watch some football.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Speaking of exciting football, Andy, let's get to our favorite section of the show, Super Sub and Super Dud. I have a feeling I know who
yeah,
yours is, Andy, but I still want to hear it.
yeah. So this was kind of a tough one because usually I like to find a legitimate super sub, a player that comes off the bench or makes that impact there. And I was not able to find in any of the top leagues that we cover. I didn't check the legal, but I could not find an individual who came in to score a winning goal or even a tying goal to keep dreams alive. So I was going to give a shout out to Casemiro for essentially being 35 now, 36, and really reinventing himself in this role at in the midfield where people were writing him off. And I'm hearing all the time on my socials of the phrase like leave the football before the football leaves you, coined by Jamie Carragher, where he said that to get where he said that whether or not to get clicks or anything, it was just his assessment, and it looks like Casemiro is proving him wrong.
Yeah.
And I think it's for multiple reasons, but I think a main part is there's a different understanding that Casemiro is being asked to do
Yeah.
in terms of how he plays, so then he can just focus more on what his strengths are. And I think that's a big win
Yeah.
for him to do that. So
Yeah.
glad for him for that to happen.
Yeah. I think from like an outside neutrals kind of point of view, what I've seen in him is he has more not just more talent, but more like legs around him of people who are,
Mm,
willing to do I don't want to call it the dirty work, but who are willing to kind of run track balls down. He's not a spring chicken anymore. We've talked
no.
about this, but his technical ability is still there, right? Even if the
Yeah.
legs aren't still there, and I kind of saw this later in Sergio Busquets' career as well, where the technical
Mm,
ability is still there, but they're not going to be able to run around and boss the midfield from winning the balls back and commanding play for 90 minutes a game, week in and
yeah.
week out anymore, right?
Yeah.
But it's been a really nice to see from like an outsider's neutral's point of view to see somebody
Mm,
who has that skill still be able to exhibit it and be able to be used effectively because he has pieces around him that allow him to be better.
right. Right. And just I think it's plays into him because one of the things I'll try to be quick on this is Casemiro, why he was such a great holding midfielder, especially in Real Madrid, was he wasn't tasked with having to progress the ball.
Hmm.
So what that means is his job can just be to snuff out danger, make sure you continue to have the ball. So being in interceptions, getting into tackles, winning the ball, and then shuttling it out to your open teammate. That's what he did. And shuttling
Hmm.
is just like quick passing. So that's his game, and that's what he can do well. And he's still asked in this midfield to cover a ton of ground because Bruno Fernandes loves to go north and south and up and down.
Hmm.
So who has to cover the side to side to kind of hold everything up? That's Casemiro. So
Right.
still a lot put on him, but the expectation of him that he doesn't have to be the one to get the ball forward. That can be Bruno. Bruno can be the one to get the ball to Cunha or Mbumo or Mount or Sheshko. So I think that is helping him in that sense. So that's where I think it goes for the super sub. But I will give my other mention to our friend Mitch, who provided that incredible jersey and gifted that incredible jersey to you. I am jealous because I have a Ted Lasso jersey or a AFC Richmond, and it does not look as good as that.
Mm.
So well played, Mitch, for getting that and gracing that gracing that with its presence. No, gracing its and Paul for gracing that gift with its presence. Sure, let's go with that. Let's go with that. Moving on, Paul. What's your super sub? Who's
Sure.
your super sub?
Sure. So I found a traditional super sub here for Celta Vigo. We have Miguel Roman Gonzalez,
Hey,
and it was Celta Vigo Levante in a mid-table masterclass, if you will. Levante got an early red card, like 19th, 20th minute, and we're just holding on for dear life. Actually got a penalty a few minutes after getting the red card. We're not able to convert it, which could have seen them with the draw, maybe even a win, depending on how the rest of the game went. But Celta Vigo, Levante packed it in to all 10 men behind the ball within the final third of the field. You know how it goes, parking the bus as you will. And Celta Vigo kind of played a couple of 1-2s. Ball popped up in the air, fell to Miguel, and off of the half volley from the top of the 18, slotted it home in the 90+1 minute for
love a
the
half
winner for
volley.
Celta Vigo.
Love a half volley to make that
Yep.
happen.
Yep.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Good for him. Good for him. Is he a younger player, older player, or?
Great question. Let me find that out for you. He
Just curious.
is younger. Yeah, he's only 23 years old. Not
Oh
even.
well.
He will
Okay.
be 23 next month.
Well, let's hope this can maybe. I always love hearing with like super subs and coming on. It's a young player kind of coming on because that just buoys you with so much confidence,
Yep.
especially like you're 23. I imagine just working your way into the team, trying to get more playing time, getting that goals change games, goals change careers. So
Yep.
getting those goals is a big help for him. So long may that continue for his own growth. So now we head to our super dud segment. Paul, who do you got for the super sub? And this, I don't even know if it's a who. I think it's a what.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just it's all the injuries Barcelona is suffering. I mean, to see Pedri get injured, I mean, obviously it affects their quality, but it makes me want to watch Barcelona less because I just love watching Pedri bring joy to the game,
Yeah,
bring so much class, make the game so enjoyable to watch. And it's gonna be tough to not be able to see him for the next few weeks, but
yeah,
I know he'll come back stronger, and I know there's been grumblings about the physios and different things, the strength and conditioning coaches and staff for Barcelona, because they promised supposedly in the offseason healthier players because of all the injuries we had last year. And obviously that has not been the case this year. But again, I don't think you can put the full blame on them because things happen. I think a lot of it revolves around how
yeah,
many games these players are playing. But Barcelona fans and the media is always going to try to find someone to point the finger at. And right now it's the strength and conditioning / physios for Barcelona. So
yeah.
we'll see.
I
We'll see how that
yeah,
goes. But hopefully
yeah,
we get almost everybody back by the end of November healthier. And that way we can kind of take another step forward in the league before hitting that Christmas break.
yeah. I remember I was reading this article about how do physios try to keep everyone in shape as games come thick and fast.
Mm-hmm.
And they really say that they can't. Like they just
Mm-hmm.
straight up said, like your body's not meant to do this amount of load,
Right.
and they can't really do any sort of recovery or anything. They can't really do anything
Mm-hmm.
because the fear is then you would overstretch and overbear that load again. Because usually, right, like if you're training or anything, you put a load on and then you have that break. So you overload your body, then you give it a break to like rest and recover to get back into shape. But if there's constantly putting that load on, the best thing they can do is just nothing for a lot of it.
Yeah.
But at the
Yep.
same time, they can't do nothing because of the cardio aspect
Yep.
where you need to keep that going. So
Yep.
it's a lose-lose situation for them. So I would say like I would very much be in the physio's corner on this because the amount of games is what's causing this. It's not the
Yeah.
physios. The physios
Yeah.
can't. Yeah, the physios can't win. I think in this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. 100%.
so that's what I would say for the for the injuries there
Yep.
in the Super Dud.
Andy, I'm interested to
I,
hear about this one.
I actually, I have to change my Super Dud now.
Okay.
But
All
I
right.
guess I'll give the context where after the Chelsea Tottenham game, there were two players that looked like they had walked off the field and did not applaud their fans. Um, there were reports that there was booing and of Tottenham fans to Tottenham players, and so two players just walked down the tunnel, going past their coach Thomas Frank, who appeared to just look and stare them down as they kept on walking. I can only imagine what was in his head,
Mm-hmm.
but Thomas Frank broke the story in the next press conference for, I think it was the Champions League, where he stated that the two of them came in unprompted into his office and apologized. So
Mm.
I think good on that, but I think still just um,
You got to
yeah,
clap the
it's still
fans.
yeah. I
You
think
have
still
to.
you still have to. I think you still have to go out and in that, but it's good that they went and preemptively, said sorry, because I'm sure, golly, if I was a coach, I would be sure that they're not going to be playing a game anytime soon for doing something like that.
Yep.
So them doing it preemptively, maybe that changes the kind of discipline that they get. But yeah, it's not a great showing, again, just with how the media and everyone's going to take it and drumming up that and putting Thomas Frank under that pressure to have to describe that. You know, time to think a little bit, just a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
So that's who I got for my Super Deadpool, is that kind of, you know what? We'll just say the media. We'll just say the media, because it's always doing it to us. But that's going to, I think, wrap up this podcast. Next week we have, at least for United, facing Tottenham. Paul, what's going on for Barca next week?
Yeah, so we've got Champions League football against Club Brugge coming up here.
Mm-hmm.
That's midweek. That's on Wednesday. And then we have Celta Vigo on the weekend. So opportunity to pick up some big points both in the league and in
Yeah.
Europe.
Dang. Well, watch out for Miguel Roman Gonzalez. He's
Seriously,
got
coming off the
he's got
bench, he's
super
hot.
subs. Yeah. He'll find a way. He might
Yep.
find a way to win it for them. So,
Yep.
because obviously he listens to our podcast and will now play better because he listened to this podcast, right?
100%.
Because that's how sports works.
Yes.
But that should be a pretty big statement if Barcelona can get through that week in Europe. For United, if we can get past Tottenham, I think that's going to be a big change there. But we'll recap everyone next week on how that shapes up, and how that affects our seasons moving forward. But until then, I have been Andy. Paul has been Paul, and with that, I'm wishing you all a big old bye.
Bye.